All right, so get this. We're talking AI news from February 5th, 2025. And let me tell you, it's a lot.
Oh, it's a mountain of information. Articles, Reddit threads, even some pretty heated Discord debates. Someone's been doing their homework.
Haha. Well, that's what our listeners do. They're dedicated. But who's got time to go through all of that, right?
Right.
That's why we do these deep dives. It's like your cheat sheet for all things AI.
Absolutely. We'll hit the highlights, give you the aha moments, and hopefully keep things interesting along the way.
Exactly. And speaking of interesting, let's kick things off with Google DeepMind.
Oh, yeah, they dropped a bit of a bombshell.
They did. They released what they're calling a textbook on scaling models. And get this, it was originally internal documentation.
So we're getting a peek behind the curtain, so to speak.
So
A look at how they actually build these massive
it's
models.
a gold mine of information. They cover everything from what a standard transformer architecture looks like today to how inference works at scale.
And even some pretty hardcore computing concepts like rooflines.
Yeah, that one went right over my head at first. It's basically a way to visualize the performance limits of hardware, right?
Exactly. And I have to say, it's pretty impressive that they included practice problems. Like, they want everyone to have a shot at building the next big AI model.
It's definitely a move towards transparency and accessibility. They're not just focusing on the algorithms either. They're talking about the entire infrastructure needed to support these huge models.
Right. The hardware, the software, the whole nine yards.
And speaking of infrastructure, let's talk about DeepSeek. The company behind those R1 and R10 models.
Ah, yes. They've certainly been stirring up some controversy.
That they have. They claim to have trained these models in just 2 to 3 weeks, which is crazy fast compared to what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, the skepticism is understandable. The Reddit community is buzzing with theories.
Oh, I bet. Some are saying they're leveraging some secret sauce, like a brand new training technique or a highly specialized data set.
Others think they might just be fine-tuning existing models, which wouldn't be quite as groundbreaking.
Yeah, like maybe they're starting with something like GPT-3 and tweaking it from there.
It's possible.
But there's this other weird thing, too. Apparently, DeepSeek's shorter answers tend to be more accurate,
That is counterintuitive.
isn't it? You'd think a longer, more detailed answer would be more likely to be correct.
One theory is that longer, incorrect answers might be a sign of the model overthinking the problem, getting stuck in a loop.
Like that friend who just rambles on and misses the point completely.
Exactly. Shorter answers might indicate a more direct, efficient path to the solution.
Okay, that makes sense. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about something a little more visual. China's Omni-Human One project.
This one's pretty wild.
They've developed a model that can generate videos from a single image.
Amazing, right. But also a little bit terrifying.
Yeah, definitely fueling those deepfake fears. Imagine being able to create a video of anyone doing or saying anything with just one photo,
The potential for misuse is huge.
no doubt. But some people are saying this technology could also lead to a new era of creativity. Think about bringing old photographs to life or creating animated stories from still images.
That's the optimistic view, for sure. The challenge, as always, is making sure the technology is used responsibly and ethically.
Couldn't agree more. And speaking of pushing boundaries, OpenAI has been busy too. They've unveiled a new font.
OpenAI sends.
Right. It seems like a small thing, but companies like Apple have used font changes to signal big brand shifts in the past.
It's a subtle move, but it suggests that OpenAI has some pretty big ambitions.
And speaking of ambitions, they've also filed a trademark for humanoid robots.
And AI-powered VR headsets. It looks like they're setting their sights beyond software and into the hardware arena.
It's like they're going full-on science fiction. But you know what else caught my eye? All the incredible new models that are being developed. ASAP for humanoid robotics. Self-MoA, which uses diversity within the model itself. P, which combines vision and language for action. Lamagan for image generation. EMU3.
It's like a Cambrian explosion of AI models.
Yeah.
And it's not just the big companies and labs either. Platforms like Hugging Face and Replit are becoming hubs for open source development.
Which is fantastic to see.
It really is. This kind of open collaboration is crucial for pushing the field forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not just about creating new models either. There's a lot of work going into optimizing the ones we already have. Remember DeepSeek with their super fast training times?
Oh, right.
Well, they've just announced that their V3 model can now be trained on Huawei's Ascend 910C chip.
Interesting. That's a big development, especially from a geopolitical standpoint. It shows that the AI hardware landscape is getting more complex and interconnected all the time.
For sure. All right, before we get too lost in the hardware weeds, Let's talk about some of the more mind-bending research that's come out. There's this new paper called Preference Leakage, a contamination problem in LLM as a judge.
Ah, that one's causing a stir.
What's fascinating is that it highlights a potential bias issue. They found that when large language models are used to evaluate synthetic data, they can be influenced by the very data they're supposed to be judging.
So it's like asking a judge to rule on a case that they're also involved in.
Yeah, doesn't seem very fair, does it?
Not at all. It raises some serious questions about the objectivity of these models, especially when they're being used in real-world applications where fairness and impartiality are crucial.
Absolutely. And while we're on the topic of fairness in real-world applications, California State University just rolled out ChatGPT-E.
Oh, wow. Making it the first university system powered by AI.
Can you imagine personalized learning plans, AI-powered tutoring, even automated grading?
It's a bold experiment. It could have a huge impact on the future of education.
And speaking of the future, Andrew Ng just announced the AI Dev 25 conference, which will bring together hundreds of developers from all over the world.
And guess what? It's happening on Pi Day,
Of course it is.
a fitting tribute to the mathematical foundations of AI.
Absolutely. But before we get too carried away with Pi Day celebrations, we need to talk about the prime paper. It's making waves in the research community.
It's all about new techniques for optimizing large language models. Pretty dense stuff.
It is, but the potential impact is enormous. We could be looking at even more efficient and powerful AI models in the near future. Okay, my brain is officially full. But wait, there's more. Remember those constitutional classifiers that Anthropic released to make AI safer?
Right.
Well, it turns out there's a catch.
It seems those safety features might come with a bit of a price tag.
Yeah, I was reading about that. Apparently, these classifiers are about 20% more expensive to run.
And they're generating a lot more false refusals, something like 50% more.
Wow, that's significant. It sounds like a classic trade-off between safety and performance.
Exactly. And it really highlights the challenges of aligning these powerful AI systems with human values. It's not an easy problem to solve.
Speaking of challenging problems, did you see anything about that $35,000 hackathon? The one focused on building AI agents?
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. It's a fascinating competition.
The goal is to create an AI agent that can operate completely autonomously and handle all sorts of complex tasks.
It's attracting a lot of attention from some really top researchers and developers.
I bet it's a hotbed for startup ideas, too. Who knows what kind of groundbreaking applications might come out of something like that?
The possibilities are pretty much endless. But even amidst all the excitement, there's a sense of unease, too. Remember that research we talked about? The odds of randomly creating a functional language model.
Yeah, 1 in 360 million, right? Still blows my mind every time I think about it.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? About the nature of intelligence and the potential risks of creating something that we may not fully understand.
It's like we're opening Pandora's box,
Mm-hmm.
and we're not quite sure what's going to fly out.
Mm.
Maybe it's time to take a step back and consider the bigger picture for a moment.
I think that's a good idea. What we're seeing now is a really profound shift in our relationship with technology. AI isn't just a tool anymore. It's more like a partner.
Yeah.
A collaborator. And in some cases, even a competitor.
That's a great point. And it brings us back to the whole open source development question, too. Can that collaborative, transparent approach keep pace with the, often secretive world of corporate AI research?
It's a debate that's probably going to continue for a while.
Oh, absolutely. But one thing is for sure, we're at a pretty pivotal moment in the evolution of AI. The choices we made today are going to have a massive impact on the future.
No doubt about it.
So what does all of this mean for you, dear listener? Well, the AI world is moving at warp speed, and staying informed is more important than ever. Keep asking questions, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep pushing for an AI future that benefits everyone.
And remember, if AI can stumble upon its own existence just by chance, imagine what other incredible discoveries are waiting just around the corner.
It's a pretty amazing thought. And with that, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious. It really does feel like we're, on the verge of something big, right? Like a turning point or something.
Yeah, I think so.
But before we, get too carried away with all that, I want to circle back to those constitutional classifiers from Anthropic for a sec. I'm curious about this whole cost versus safety trade-off you were talking about.
Right. Well, it's a real dilemma. It's kind of at the heart of a lot of the work that's happening in AI development right now.
Yeah.
We want these systems to be, safe, aligned with human values, all of
Of
that.
course, of course.
But at the same time, those very safety measures can sometimes impact performance and accessibility. It's a balancing act, really.
Right, right.
So in this case, you've got Anthropic's classifiers. They're meant to prevent, harmful outputs, which is great.
Yeah.
But they're also making the models more expensive to run, and they're more likely to reject requests that are perfectly harmless.
So it's like, I don't know, it's like trying to teach a kid right from wrong. You want them to be good, make responsible choices,
Mm-hmm.
but you also don't want to, squash their creativity or their independence.
That's a really good analogy. It's about finding that balance
Mm.
between guidance and freedom. And it's tricky. It's going to take a lot of, careful thought and experimentation.
Speaking of experimentation, there's all this buzz around that hackathon, the one with the $35,000 prize.
Yeah, the AI agent,
The goal is to build, like, the ultimate autonomous system, right?
pretty much. It's
Yeah.
all about creating AI agents that can operate independently and solve complex problems, out in the real world. Think of it like building a digital assistant.
Right.
But not just any assistant. One that can, schedule your appointments, sure, but also negotiate a business deal
Wow.
or even write a novel.
That's a far cry from Siri or Alexa.
It is, and it makes you think, doesn't it, about the future of work, about the relationship between humans and AI. Are these agents going to be our partners, our competitors, or something else entirely?
Big questions. And I don't think anyone has the answers yet. But for now, I think it's worth just, taking a moment to appreciate how far we've come. I mean, from self-driving cars to personalized medicine, AI is already changing our lives in so many ways.
It is, and the pace of change is only accelerating. It's incredible. Just a few years ago, people were blown away by image recognition software.
Yeah, remember that.
Now we've got models that can generate photorealistic images from text prompts, create videos from a single image, even design entire websites in minutes.
It's mind-boggling, honestly. It's like we're living in a science fiction movie.
It does feel that way sometimes, yeah. But unlike in the movies, we actually have the power to shape how this all unfolds. We have a responsibility to make sure that AI is developed and used in a way that, ultimately benefits all of humanity.
Well said. Couldn't agree more. And that's a perfect note to end on, I think. So to everyone listening out there, stay informed, stay curious, and most importantly, stay engaged. Because this is a journey we're all on together.
Absolutely. And remember, the most important question isn't what AI can do, but what we want it to do.
Exactly. Until next time, keep exploring.